Doet hij het ook? Ergens op de... Ja, hij doet het, hè? Ja, top. Want we gaan beginnen. Welkom allemaal. Superleuk dat jullie er zijn en dat jullie deze enorme regen hebben getrotseerd. Allereerst, spreekt iedereen Nederlands of Engels? Is er iemand die zegt, ik versta geen Nederlands? I don't understand Dutch. Dan raise your hands. 3. But we can do it in English, so that's fine. And all the Dutchies understand English? Cool, cool. Well, then I'll welcome the speakers. Anna, go and have a seat on this very comfortable couch. Yeah, and you also have a microphone. Okay. And then you can quickly give a short introduction of who you are. This is Anna.
Hello, I'm Anna, from Anna plus Nina, jewelry and home brand from Amsterdam. We have 3 shops here, and my partner Nina is not
very,
but yeah,
very pregnant, right?
Very pregnant as well, but so. Also she was on a holiday, so not in Amsterdam.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. And then we have Fabienne Chapeau. Hi, Fabienne. You can also sit on this beautiful couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, careful, careful.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Working.
Working. Can you quickly introduce yourself, Fabienne
Of
Chapeau?
course, my name is Fabienne Chapeau, and I'm the founder of the brand Fabienne Chapeau. I started 12 years ago with bags and accessories. Really colorful. After 5 years, we introduced a shoe collection, and since 2 years, well, we started 3 years ago, but since 2 years in the stores, we launched a clothing collection. So that's a big part of our company now.
Yeah, and then we have more clothing. Here's Inge. Welcome.
Hello. I'm the reason we're late. I'm very sorry about it.
Yeah, because I think 3 on the couch is going to be too quick.
Okay, I'm Inge from Essential Antwerp, a clothing brand in Belgium, and we exist in 20 years this year. So we
also with shops in Amsterdam.
Yes, we have now 2 shops. Thank you.
2, right? Yeah, I was like 2, right?
You're really far.
Yeah,
I don't even know how many shops you have.
No, then you're really big. First of all, because this is all about entrepreneurship, and then especially female entrepreneurship, since we're all females today. What do you think is the most important characteristic for a female entrepreneur, Inge?
I think we can multitask, and I think that's a very, very important talent of us women. I think we can immediately solve problems as well. I think a man is more thinking about it, and we just have to go. It's like in a family and a family business as well. So I think it's a multitasking that makes us very strong, in fact.
And what do you think, Fabienne?
I think also tact is really important. I think we feel maybe the energy in a room feel people. So if there's a situation, I think we can react on a good way. Yeah. And sometimes it's also very good that men are direct, but sometimes it's good to talk a little bit around it and also bring your message.
How many people do you have in your company now working for you?
On the headquarters, it's around 40, 45.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah, you've grown tremendously since. Yes. I remember when you started in a very small office.
We saw each other. Yeah,
there were
long
like
ago,
5 people.
Yeah, so the last 3 years it went.
Yeah. Is that since you've added the pret-à-porter?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Since we do clothing, then we grew, and then we hired the different people on production and design and sales, marketing, the whole package.
And for you, Anna, what do you think is the most important characteristic?
Well, I think one of the most important characteristics might be that the women surrounding me, at least, that are founding companies, they're a little bit more able to start slow. I think not to want to, run a million miles.
No
an
ego.
hour. Yeah, a little less of an ego. So I think being able to start slow, make the mistakes in a smaller companies, and then take it step by step and then go. Might be a little bit better than trying to get investors on board in month
In the
one
first month,
and go and open 60 shops in the first year and then going bankrupt quite quickly in a lot of cases. Yeah,
In a lot of cases. That's not going to happen to you guys, girls.
Hopefully.
And where are you now? And if you say, well, we have a sort of 10-year plan where we want to go. Where are you now? Are you thinking about, like Fabienne launched Pret-a-Porter? What do you see as the growing opportunities for Anna-Nina?
Yeah, so we have 3 shops now. So this year we're hoping to open a shop in Antwerp. So I might have to call you about that.
Yeah, maybe you can be in the same street somewhere.
So we'd love to open a few shops in Europe to help grow the web shop.
Yeah.
And we'd like to develop our home and clothing collections, which are still quite small. I think jewelry is our main business.
Yeah.
But
because your collection's limited still. Do you think that you might stretch it more?
Might stretch it out a little and take things step by step. It's like growing a little bit into Europe, opening some shops and help grow our online business and help grow our collections a little bit and make them a bit bigger. That's the plan now.
And what do you think of, Fabienne, of the current fashion market? And do you think it helps you that you're a woman?
Okay, 2 questions.
Because you just talked to me about, like, I have this gut feeling I need to follow more.
Yeah, we had a conversation before we arrived about the gut feeling. That's what okay, so 2 questions. What do you think of the current market? I just told you, wow, this is difficult, man.
Yeah, like it's...
Really, I will end this really successfully, I hope. But I don't know if I will do it once again because the market is super difficult. You have to be focused every day. You have to stay really close to yourself and your own DNA and what you believe in. And that was what we talked about. Like sometimes you hear so many people and advisors and you think, oh, that might be because I'm doing this for the first time. So that might be a good way or strategy. But now I really know if I believe in myself. And I think I know. So stay really connected with your own belief. And
how do you do that when you're so busy? Like, how do you make sure that you have time for, that you have time to kind of...
reflect.
Yeah.
Well, one other advisor told me once that like a big man CEO from was a bank, like ABN AMRO. He took every morning, he said, I have a really important meeting at 9 o'clock with myself. From 9 to 10, let's say. Well, I'm not there yet, but I can imagine that you have, you need time with yourself, just thinking it through, having the helicopter view, looking to your business. What are we doing exactly?
That's well said. A really important meeting with myself.
With myself. So that was the advice I really took with me. So I think I'm trying to have that time. And when I'm traveling, that is also really nice because then you're in a plane and you're with yourself, and then I have a lot of time to think through. That
automatically gives you time because you're in...
Exactly. At home, you're all... you're always running.
Washing and
normal,
normal,
normal stuff. Being a mom, etc.
How do you do that, Inge?
What do I do? What?
How do you stay close to your core feeling? Like, how do you?
I think it's something that comes naturally. I think it's true what you say that the gut feeling is really, really important. But what is also very important is like being in the now. I mean, every Monday we go into the statistics. So I think if you see all these statistics, I think you can make the most beautiful collection ever. If it doesn't sell, doesn't mean a thing. So I think gut feeling, but then also being really close with the commercial people, with all the statistics is really, really important. So I think it's both. It's sometimes if we start creating a collection with my art director, it's sometimes so that we tell each other it's like mathematics as well. I think if you go into a structure and of a way of working, it always falls together.
But if you say mathematics, it almost makes me think, oh, you look at the numbers, you see what sells well, and you make more of that. But I also think you need to be ahead one step.
For example, it's essential. The repeats never work. It's something we cannot do. But I think it's. Yeah, I think it's if you start working and you do it for a long time, it becomes really a structure that you have to follow. And I think I'm very passionate and I'm very happy after even 20 years of doing my business and I'm doing for the moment, I'm making the collection and it's like, wow. But it's really a structure and I think it's really important because we have so much work and if we don't go into this very structured way of working, it won't work.
Yeah,
so,
then you'll drown in the amount of work.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And how can you tell me a little bit more about your, and us, all of us, growing process? Because you started 20 years ago with T-shirts, and now you have a huge business with lots of quite colorful collections.
Yes.
How did you manage to go from T-shirts to a business like this?
In fact, we managed on going from three T-shirts, and then in 2006 we had 800 pieces collection, so that was the worst thing ever.
Why was it the worst thing?
Because it didn't have a DNA anymore. And in fact, we started really, really quick and we grew really, really fast. And I think in 2005 was really our best, we really were on our top.
Yeah.
And then suddenly everything fell apart because there was too much. And there was no DNA, we didn't have a story anymore, and because we wanted to please, I think the big problem about doing business is that at a certain moment you want to please everybody, and it's not possible. So you do more, and you want to do everything for everyone.
I can see you smiling, like, been there, done that.
We had this conversation last week about this, so it's really fun.
And it's the fall, because at the end, I think you have to be very clear in your head that you cannot please everybody, and you have to make things for a certain amount of people. And even if it's only 1%, it's already a big thing. So I think you have to be true to yourself and to your DNA, and that's for me the most important thing.
How did you cut it down? Was that a big struggle? Like
it was a huge struggle.
You're going to cut down.
Yeah, because I started this with my husband, and he's like really a gut people. He does everything by the gut, and I'm like just a Flemish, hard-working woman. And I was like, oh, I'm passionate and loving what I did. But there was no structure. And then, in fact, we took a CEO, and that was our savior, in fact.
Yeah, because they said, like, he or she said, this is what you got to do.
And I remember he came and he asked me questions, and we were both like, what is this man asking us? It was like, oh my God, do you have an HR? And then we're like, no. We meet people in a bar, and we ask them to come and work.
We ask them to work.
Yeah, but this was really happening. So he got us a structure. And in fact, the most important thing that what I learned about this is that less is really more. The collections from 800 pieces, that's ridiculous. So I think we reduced it to 200. We had like 25 agents. We reduced that to 12. And I think what is also really important is to sell your product at the perfect shops. In fact, we sold at everybody at a certain moment. And then image is really important, and our shops were really beautiful. And then you go 10 kilometers further, and you had this shop that with Easton had like those little bunnies in the window. So I think you have to
be really, really careful.
Yeah, I think you have to
image.
be careful with everything and think everything over and be really, really small.
What's your image now? Because is it all your own label you're wearing today?
Yes, only not my socks.
Well, we don't see them, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And how would you describe it? I always think of colorful, which
it's really
makes sense,
colorful.
I think.
And I like a mix and match of everything. So that's what basically we did from the beginning. We started in the 90s when everything was very pure. You had this white, gray, and
very
black.
Helmut Langish.
Yeah.
Kind of, minimalism, cool.
So, and then we came, but I lived in India, so I love colors. That's where my love for colors started, in fact.
Yeah, you're also quite colorful. Right?
Yes, today not really, but
today not really, but I saw one of the people working with you.
Yes, over there.
Look at her.
Yeah.
Very colorful new spring collection.
Yeah, no, true. We're quite known by the prints.
Yeah.
And then also strong colors. We use strong colors. Yeah.
Why do you like print so much?
I think it's because I like to. There's positivity in our prints because it's colorful, and most of our prints has something fun and playful. And that positive thing that's really in our DNA. And if you go back to the wallets and the bags, it was actually the same.
Yeah.
Like inside, like fluor, pink, or
Yeah, the
stars
first
and
bags you made
hearts.
were always really colorful.
Yes.
Especially in the market that wasn't really colorful.
Exactly,
at
and I
that moment.
think we're doing a little bit the same. Like in the market, especially 3 years ago, when there was more minimalism and Scandinavian style, we really choose to start with outspoken prints, colorful prints, playfulness.
And is the Dutch market especially good for that? I see quite some color.
Yes,
in the
I
room?
think, well, we sell quite well, so
Yeah.
I think
So something
they're
works
open for
out.
it. And actually, it was funny because there was a trend watcher from Galerie Lafayette, and she came at the fair in Berlin, and she said, "Now the French women are ready for prints." So that's so finally.
It's taken
so I
like,
think it's like maybe going to
hundreds
the
and hundreds
south
of years.
further.
Yeah. And for you, how would you describe the aesthetic of your label?
Well, I think it's pretty eclectic. It combines quite simple styles, smaller little studs and simple jewelry with the bigger pieces.
Yeah.
I think for the home, the same goes. It's pretty tongue-in-cheek, and always you could describe that. You could show it with a wink. You know, a little bottoms as a corkscrew, or you know. I think there's a joke in all of it.
Yeah. I think you have all match it really well.
I think it's one
somewhere-
client
Yeah.
that shops like
Yeah.
all three
probably.
brands.
Yeah.
It could be in one. You could be in one store, and then it would be a very logical story for a
Yes.
buyer. So,
Yeah.
why? What do you really like about fashion? Working in fashion? Why do you think? Because I think some of you might aspire to work in fashion or already work in fashion. What is so good about it?
Yeah, I'm not. I've always thought of myself, or at least our brand, as like just on the edge of fashion, as it is jewelry and interior as well. And I think we sort of pop in and peek around into the room, but I'm not sure if we're in the center of it. But I love what I love about fashion and jewelry and that type of pieces myself, is that you can really say something about yourself with a big earring or a colorful dress or whatever you put on. I think I love the language that it speaks and the way it allows you to express or to stand out or not to stand out. And that's, I think, what has always intrigued me about fashion. Yeah.
And what do you think? Because you said it's a very tough industry. But what is it that you really like about it? Because you must also like it.
Of course, I love it very much. Even though when it's tough, then I still love it. Maybe I like it even more because it's becoming a little bit challenging and difficult. I love to create. And I think also the customer of Fabienne Chapeau, she likes fashion, but she's not a fashion victim, we always say. So we're also Dutch and grounded. So I like to create nice, accessible clothing with an outspoken signature. So I think I like to create, but I also like the commercial part of it, like building a brand and taking it over the world and see what we can achieve. So it's both creating and the commercial side, what I like about it.
And then speaking about the commercial side, how important is it that your label is actually affordable, like compared to some designer labels that have a 2,000-3,000 euro priced coat? You're pretty affordable.
Yeah,
how
I hope so.
important is that? 'Cause
for me, really important, because it's also what I say. Like, I'm also really grounded, and I'm thinking, what can I spend, or what will I spend if I want to have like every season a little bit new wardrobe?
Yeah.
So what are my customers? What do they earn, and what can they afford? So that's really important, that they have a positive feeling when they buy something from our brand, and not saying like, oh my God, this is not it's really beautiful, but I don't know if it's really worth it.
So you want a very reasonable
It's a
price.
principle. Yes.
Yeah, I think
Reasonable
that's
price.
also quite a Dutch thing, like that you want a sort of reasonable price, because
I think so, but if we go,
people want a good deal.
you want a good deal, and if you go back to like if you stay really connected with yourself, true to yourself, then that's also part of me that it has to be affordable. Yeah.
Yeah. And for you, because Essential is also, well, it's affordable.
Yeah, I think it's important that young people can buy Essential. And I think, of course, if you want a little bit more younger clientele, then you have to be affordable.
Looking at what they have to spend.
Yeah, and I think price is really important because at a certain moment we opened the market in Korea, and there the markup was much too high, and suddenly a dress of Essential of 200 euro was in Korea like 500, and it doesn't work.
Whoa, that's a huge, a huge difference.
I think quality and price is so important.
Yeah.
When I'm creating, I don't ask prices. I give prices to my suppliers, and then we work around it. I think it's the correct way to work with prices.
Yeah, that's smart. So you think, oh, this is what I would
target price.
Yeah. This is what I would want to pay myself.
This is what we can afford because I know that we go over a certain amount of price, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think, because you're operating in the Dutch market and in the Belgian market, is there a big difference?
I think the difference becomes smaller. I think before
it's good for you to know when you're going to open your shop.
No, I think honestly, I think now with all the internet and the Instagram, I think there's no limits anymore. There's no boundaries anymore. Before, when we started 20 years ago, we really created a collection and for the Dutch market, and for the Belgian market, and for the French, and for the Italian. So that was very easy to think about this different type of woman, and I think it's not that it's not,
but
not like this
Belgium
anymore.
Was a different market.
Yeah,
as
it
well,
was.
Right? I
Of
remember
course.
my mum would used to take me shopping for like my communi dress, and then we would go to Antwerp because it was more chic and
more
you would
chic,
get a little
more classy
collar and stuff.
I remember before when the Dutch came, it was like they needed clothes to be on the bike. Honestly, that's what we thought, but it's not that anymore.
That really is such a...
When I was selling my own, still selling the salesperson for the jewelry, I used to do little trips to Belgium, and we do some shops in Holland, and then drive on to Belgium and stay in Antwerp for 2 nights. So we do a few shops in Holland and lay out the jewelry, and they'd say, it's really nice, but it's a little too expensive, and it's only, this is gold plated, and that is real gold. And then we'd go to Antwerp, and they said, oh my God, and it's so cheap, and it's so beautiful.
But we have diamonds.
That's so funny, because I think the Belgium, they're a little more easy to spend, it appeared to me.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's really changing. I think there is no... Yeah, I think it's open
boundaries
now.
are fading.
Yes, the boundaries are really fading.
I think because it's easier to go to Antwerp. Like you
no,
go
and
with
I
the
think
Thalys.
if I see my clients, my wholesale clients, my Dutch wholesale clients, I think they're more fashionable. They become more fashionable than the Belgian clients.
And I think online is the reason for that, because you see more. So I think before internet, you have only your own culture, and now you're
then before you really had to go to a city to get an idea what
inspired
they sell.
or something. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a complete different market in that way. Yeah. What was, Inge, the last fashion item that you've bought yourself? I'm just curious.
Yes. No. We went shopping in Milan, and I bought a very beautiful Versace vintage shirt, but an amazing one with like angels on there.
Your smile is
you're like, look at what it is. I bought. And for you, what was the last item you bought?
Well, it was sunglasses of Ace and Tate, but I don't know how fashionable that is.
That's quite fashionable, and another Dutch brand.
Then that's my last item.
Yeah. And for you?
Well, I was shopping for the shops, wholesale shopping for Gunny, for our shop, and I ordered myself a really beautiful leather jacket, which I do not own yet.
Oh, because it's a new collection, so you'll have to wait for it. Ooh. That's dedication, if you're really willing to wait.
I'm going to wait for 8 months or so for it. Yeah.
Have you, Inge, because you've been around for 20 years, what do you think is the most important change in the business in the past 20 years?
I think the client wants new things every day, and that's the big difference. When we started, we did 2 collections a year, and now we're into 6 collections a year. And I think, the end client is very, very spoiled, and it needs to be now and quick, and it needs to follow up very much. So that's the big difference. It's like the la vitesse de la mode, like
You can't do two
yeah.
collections
No,
anymore.
that's
You have
finished,
to do more for a brand
Yeah.
like yours. And then do you do it with shows, or how do you present every new collection? Or
No,
just
we don't
drop
do
it in the
shows.
shop?
We just have the presentation in the showrooms.
Yeah.
In fact, before we had 8 collections, where 2 were only for the shops, for the own retail shops. But that's changing. We do now like the 6 collections. It's already 3 years, but I want to go back to 4 collections a year.
Why do you want to go back?
Because I think in this business you need time to step back a little bit. And I think with 6 or 8 collections a year, it's not possible anymore. You cannot have a step back. And I think it's really, really important to step back from time to time and to review what you did.
Yeah, so you mean you also need the time to be creative? 'Cause
Yes.
there's a lot of talk about there would be too much pressure in the industry and the collections are getting too
but
big
it is really
and people
everyone.
don't have time to be creative. And so you agree with, I would actually need a bit more time to myself.
Yeah, completely. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do 4, and those 4 collections we're going to deliver in different time slots. But it will only
so there's still always something new in the shop.
In the shops, yes. But at least you don't ask the wholesalers to come 8 times a year, because that's hell as well. I think we have to slow down a little bit. I think it's important.
Yeah, this is what I hear lots of people in the industry saying, like we have to slow down a bit because we're making ourselves
And there's
crazy.
so much waste as well. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
There's people wanting new all the time, of course.
So what do you do with your stock? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I might, brands need to collaborate together to say, okay, new, people buying new all the time. It's just, it's ridiculous. We shouldn't be bringing new stuff every 2 weeks. We shouldn't be buying new stuff every 2 weeks.
No, it needs a mindset on both sides.
Yeah,
like it would need,
We all have a role in that.
How do you see that, Fab?
True, we also do 6 collections a year with different drops. And I think what you say, Anna, you're totally right. But I'm thinking, is that possible?
Yeah.
Because of this
From
industry.
a market point of view,
Exactly, because now we're there. And I also, Inga, I hear you, and I hope we can all slow down. But I think if also all the big brands are doing it, I feel like, because we introduced the 6 collections now 1 year ago, so that was after 1.5 years that I started with clothing. Like, oh my God, we have to do 6 collections, and then it was so super busy and so much pressure for all the teams, and it hurt us as well. Really, like it's just too much sometimes. But I had really the feeling that I had to. Because you have to,
you
follow.
feel like you have to compete with all
Absolutely.
the others. And you have to follow.
It's such a tough market, and then all the wholesalers, they come. We need a drop in November, and we need a pre, because and then you deliver to Bijenkorf and all the department stores, and all these brands have the pre collections, and we have to do it.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense because you're a relatively small player, so. You're not the one setting the rules.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
You kind of, that makes sense.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but you might grow into a bigger.
And then we will decide how we
do it all slightly different.
Yeah, the pace.
Is there? Do you think it's a plus that you're a female in this business? When you started, you said I'm grounded, but can you see it in the ways that people react to you?
I thought about this question before. I think in the end, it's always about the content and the figures.
Yeah.
And so to be honest, maybe it's nice if you can arrange a meeting with somebody a little bit more easy. But then in the end, you have to have a really good story, a really good plan. It's business.
Yeah,
so
if you don't deliver, it doesn't matter if you're male or
exactly.
female.
It's about deliverables.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel that it's an advantage to be a woman. In that sense.
And for you, do you think it's a big plus that you work together?
Yes. I think it was not possible to create Essential without Esfan, and I think we both have our strengths. It was also really, really difficult. Though sometimes the doors fell out of the wall because I've slapped them for like
working together, I think, is double-sided. Like on the one hand, it's nice. On the other hand, it means fighting.
Yeah, of course it's fighting, because when you're very close to each other, you don't stay polite. That's the big problem. If I don't agree with my creative director, I'll be politely telling. But if you're very close, especially with your husband, it yells.
Yeah, you can just yell.
But I think it would have been impossible to create this without him and without me. I think we were like both very, very passionate. We worked really hard. We had our children also very close on a very short period of time. And if you tell me, is it important to have women in the companies, or is it important? I think the mix is really important. At a certain moment in our company, we had a lot of women.
Yeah.
And now the last 2 years, I had this feeling that we needed men also a little bit. So I think at the end we need both genders.
Yeah, you do, because they bring in something different.
Yeah, of course.
For your company.
How many in total are in your
280, we're 280. And in the office, we're like 80. I think now we have like 20% of men in the office. Yeah, but before
we also have, maybe 15% men.
Yeah. So we're trying to get a little bit more men in, which is quite nice.
Yeah, yeah. And you, how big is your company? Because I see you're like 280. Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
We have in total working for us 42 people, but then there's about 22 in the head office. Yeah.
And how is then the ratio?
There's only 2 men.
So men should apply for jobs immediately, because that's not very much, guys. Yes. That's not very good. That's too little.
Yeah.
But you can work on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I also wanted to ask you, do you have, if you wanna ask any questions to one of the ladies? Yeah.
I was wondering, was there a point where you felt disadvantaged being a woman in the business?
All three.
No.
Yeah.
No, I never. If in doubt, you just swipe your hair, and everything becomes okay. No, never. In fact.
No, I don't. No, I don't think I felt disadvantages. No.
Well, we do some production in countries like India, or so there have been moments that the owner of a certain factory was not really willing to negotiate with me because I was a woman. So I sort of had to get my driver in to talk to the guy. It's because he was not going to sit and do business with a woman. That type of thing.
Where was this?
Yeah.
Which country?
In India.
Oh, India.
Yeah. But I mean, I've not had that very often. But I thought it was rather funny actually. I wasn't really offended by it. But yeah, I think there's still
you
some
know
parts
better,
of the
Anna.
yeah, still some parts of the world where that would happen. But
and
here,
then the driver signed the deal. very good deal, I suppose. Fine.
No, I think I decided not to go into business with him. But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. More questions? Yeah.
I'm really curious about something personal. How do you manage the pressure of running your own business? Do you have like personal rituals or?
To
All three?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you start.
Well, the pressure. I think I'm quite good at. I'm not someone who experienced a lot of pressure, so I'm not very stressful in that sense. I think for me it's really important to work out. It really just de-stresses my mind and to let go of certain things. And I think to just have some alone time, which is often quite difficult to find with children and a business.
Work.
Yeah. But if that can be done, and you can have an hour by yourself and work out then for me that's enough.
Is that on a daily basis, an hour by yourself and working out?
No, that
I'm curious.
that would
here,
be ideal.
How do you do that?
So I try to work out two or three times a week, and it really does clear my mind. If that doesn't work, then I'll try to go for a walk or something like that, just to try to get my mind empty. And then if I could find 1 or 2 hours in the week where I'm by myself, then that would be
that's a pretty good score.
Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with small kids, that's a good score. And for you?
I have the same as Anna. I'm not really. I don't really feel a lot of stress, like pressure, that it's too much. It's more that I have always the problem, like, okay, there are 24 hours in a day and there's so much I want to do and ideas, and how can I manage this agenda? So then after a few weeks, when I really think, okay, this is too much, I'm like cutting social stuff and it's always, I don't know if it's a good way, but it's always like peaking and then a little bit going down and then peaking and then...
Yeah.
But it's also
I think
part of
it's
my
very
character.
natural to search a balance. Like,
Yeah, I'm searching it every week, this balance. And then sometimes it goes really well and sometimes not. But I'm still alive, so. And I love my job, so.
barely.
Part of the deal. I
Your
think.
brand's also still alive. So
Exactly,
it
so
kind of
everything
works
is
out.
okay.
And for you,
Yeah,
you
I
also have
don't-
kids,
yeah.
also a company.
And no balance at all.
Also go like this.
Very hysterical. No, I think in the morning when my children are out in school, I'm like have 1 hour for me every time. I never
The
come
meeting
home.
with yourself.
Yes, and my coffee and my cigarette, unfortunately. But but it's important. I will never be very early in the office. And honestly, I love stress and I love deadlines. I think that's the best. That's how I work the best. When there's a deadline, if there is like a period in the season where it's a little bit calmer,
Yeah?
I'm really lost. I'm like sometimes in the office, but we don't have anything to do. It almost never happens. But if
Yeah.
I don't have this deadline or this stress, it's not so
Yeah, it
good
makes
for
sense.
me.
So you're better on a deadline.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I recognize that quite well.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Was it easy starting your business and were there signs to start it?
Signs, you mean as if you saw a gap in the market, or yeah.
Like, or sign like you were made for this.
No, I never thought about doing anything. I started as a model, and then I met my husband, and I was not able to do anything else than fashion. And I think it just grew very organic and natural. We said, okay, we're 30. If we don't do anything by ourselves now, we will work for somebody else for the rest of our lives. So what can we do? And then we met a guy who made T-shirts, and we started as tourists, in fact. And I think this mindset was also this very naive mindset was also very important, because I don't think if you don't start with the naive and an ideal and a dream, if you start thinking about doing a business, you will never do it. So I think this
That's true.
naivete is very important in this business and this passion.
For me, it was different to start. I was 25 when I started it, and for me, it was super clear. I had to work for myself. I think it was, I was searching for feeling autonomous.
Like you wanted to be your own boss. Or
I
you
think
want-
so,
yeah.
yes. But sometimes I don't really dare to tell this. But to make my own decisions. I had a dream. I wanted to create, and I wanted to decide my own pace, because I had a lot of energy. So I just wanted to do it for myself. And
Did you see
I
a
didn't.
gap in the market? Because you started with bags that were quite colorful and very reasonably priced. That you also think like strategically
Absolutely,
that could be a very
absolutely.
good product.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to. Well, I didn't do a fashion study, so clothing at that time was not for me, but accessories was doable for me. So that's why I started with accessories, and then I really thought about what do I miss in the market, and also the price range. And it was all designer brands, or it was H&M and Zara. There was nothing in the middle, and there was nothing quite colorful and positive and fun. So that was a strategic plan. But you're right. So it was really, I was 100% sure I wanted to do something for myself and see where it would go. But then again, like when I was 25, I was super naive. Like the world was there, it was
thought, okay, I'll
open,
do it,
and that's super good, because you please don't think it too much through, because of course it's not easy, but you will get there.
Yeah,
When
if you
get
think
there.
it too much through, you might see a lot of beers
Bumps.
on the road. That's not very English. but
Bumps,
you know what I
bumps.
mean? Yeah, a lot of bumps, beers, obstacles. And how did you do it when you started? Like, did you have a very well thought of plan, or
No, it actually happened quite by accident. I think we started importing some jewelry, and we thought to sell it through Facebook.
For us?
But yeah, it just sort of grew very organically as well, without a plan. We weren't really planning to start a business, and then when we saw the potential of what started as something fun to do, we started making a plan. And then yes, we did start the company with a plan, and we were thinking it through, thinking, okay, jewelry has no size, it's easy to ship, this could be really interesting. And then we started picking up on things that had already happened, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More questions? From, yeah.
First you, then you. What was your last buy?
Yeah, it's a really good coat. It's really practical. It's out there and it's good for the rain. And I'm really happy with it.
Is it fashionable?
It's not super fashionable. But I live out of town now, so I needed a coat that actually covers my face, or my hair at least. But it's not for a very practical coat. I think it's not very ugly. Also, I live in Zandvoort, and it's really fashionable there. Everyone wears. I think it's Canada Goose or something with it, and everyone wears it around there. So I'm really blending in my new hometown. So I'm quite happy with it, and I share it with my boyfriend because he also needed one. But we only bought one. I usually try to leave early so I can put it on, and then. Yeah, then we have another one, but that makes you really sweaty in the rain. That's very fashionable, that coat, but it's not handy.
You'll never be taken seriously.
Yeah, so
Not anymore.
And you like Belgian fashion?
Yeah. I've had them for a while, but I almost wanted to say it's my last buy, but I've had them for a long time. I just haven't been wearing them enough. So, but I'm doing that now. And you, yeah?
Seeing that the next subject is about sustainability, I was actually wondering if you guys are already adjusting or reacting to this growing importance of sustainability.
Yeah, I think we don't have a choice, and I think it's something that's really, really important. But it's also a subject that's quite difficult because you have to be ready for it. And we try bit by bit, and I think...
Do you set goals with your company? Like
Yes.
in 2025, like many companies at the moment set a goal that's a bit further in the future because we can't turn this around in a year like everyone.
No, of course not,
Yeah.
because the way fashion works, it goes very quickly, so it's only already the transport that's really difficult. So I think that's why we all have to slow down to do this. Yeah, but it's a tricky one. I always have a little bit problems with this subject when, for example, an H&M says, when we do this and we work on this, and then they ship these amounts of loads of things on. So I think it's something we all have to think about it, but it needs to be very thought through very, very hard. And it's not an easy subject.
No, also because you have to deal with your suppliers and you have to, so it takes a long time to see
but
the whole process.
this, for example, when we bought some fabrics in Italy, we could have sent it to like a supplier in Portugal. Now what we already start doing, okay, this goes from one factory to another. We have to choose for a factory that's close by. It's like in the little things that we're starting to do this.
Yeah, so you think about this and you want to implement it further.
And I think before we did like 70% of our production was in Asia. Now it's like 70% in Europe, so that's also already things you have to think about it. But we're not there yet, but we're working on it,
Yeah, well, you're a good company. There's many people not there yet. But I think everyone is at least aware.
Conscious.
Which is a good start.
Yeah.
And for you? Because
for us it's the same. We're completely not there yet. A lot of our jewelry is shipped and packed in plastic, and there's a lot of things on our list that are that could be so much better. Starting to talk about how, what, when, what do we replace it with? What's possible? How do you maintain the gold and the this and the that? So that's, I think we have a lot to do. But what I really do like about it is that we can also see it as uitdaging, I don't know the word for it, as a challenge to see how do we get there. And what I also love about it is that we see a lot of clients asking us about it as well. And we see a lot more people buying real gold because they want to invest for life pieces and they don't want to have the plated jewelry anymore. And I think it could be measured to the fast fashion as well, is that people are also trying to get back to investing in,
something that really
piece,
lasts.
something that really lasts. And for our company, it's the same. We're completely not there yet. Of course, making small changes, but I think we have a lot to do, and it's going to be a big project.
Yeah. And what do you want to say? Because I saw you.
Just it's so true. Everything is so true. I think the most important thing that everybody's really conscious about it, and there's so many ways to be more sustainable than you are in packaging, in the suppliers.
Yeah, because do you talk about this subject with your suppliers? And
absolutely, it's the first topic. I think in the first meeting you talk about this. There's no way back, thank God. No, it's super important, and even now Bijenkorf said, I think in 2023, I think you maybe also had
25,
a 25.
Right?
Yeah,
25.
25, right? So only working with the sustainable brands, and then again, what is sustainable brand? But that's the next conversation. But super good. So
that definition in the next
later, yes.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with what you
and I just came back from the fashion, the fabric fair.
Fabric fair,
everything is sustainable now. You really see a big thing. It's like I think half of our suppliers.
And was it then like 10 years ago or 15 years ago when you would go to the fair? It wasn't an issue.
No, it wasn't an issue. I think even 5 years ago.
Fabrics. Maybe?
Yeah, but even 5 years ago you didn't have this. Yeah. It's just like the last 2-3 seasons that you really see that the green fabrics are becoming really important.
Yeah. And the people buying it really asking you, how is this made, where is this made? And I think that's a really good thing as well.
That's a big shift, I think, that many consumers are more aware and they start asking. So as a brand, you need to have an answer.
You can't get away with anything else anymore. And I think that's a great thing that people are really educated on it now.
Yeah.
And
that's a big difference, I think.
Yeah.
More questions? Yeah?
I was just wondering if there were any stages in the early development of your brands where you kind of plateaued and how you became, or how you get over this barrier, kind of?
You mean really hard moments, or?
Maybe when you did your first collection or you got all your first pieces manufactured, and if there were any stages where you kind of plateaued or you had where it was difficult to progress?
Well, we were just talking about it before. I think it never ends. I think you shouldn't start your own business thinking, the first year will be maybe difficult and then it will be all okay. I think I really accept that this will be forever bumpy, hard, difficult, finding solutions, having setbacks.
Yeah, so
this is
pretty
it.
much
This
every
is it.
season
This
you
is
have
it.
this again.
Absolutely. And then there's something else. And when you grow, it's even bigger risks and challenges. And this is it. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Of course, and it's not all about only creating. You need to prepay everything. You have to. This is the most important thing. I quite remember in the beginning of our collection, we started working with China, and then we sold the collection to our wholesalers, and suddenly the rate of the dollar and the euro became so bad. So these are all things that you have to learn in the beginning. It's not only creating, it's like the payments, it's tough. And we had the luck to start the first T-shirts we did with a supplier who was a very good friend and who said, you pay when your clients paid. So I think that was for us.
That is lucky.
It's a miracle because it's tough in the beginning, and you can sell a lot, but you need to finance it also, and this is all. It's really tricky.
Yeah, you're always one season ahead. I think that's where many very young people start. That's where the struggle starts.
Of course.
Because you can only use.
the prepayment you mean?
Yeah.
The cash flow problem.
the cash flow problem. Like
But
all of
even if
must
you
have
big,
had
we
it.
always have, just before the production, we have cash flow problems, which is normal because
Yeah.
it's like we need to pre-finance. In fact, sometimes you're also the bank for your clients. In fact, that's what's happening as well.
Yeah, that's
And then in
annoying.
6 months, a lot can change. Clients can go broke. We have a lot of clients that don't want the goods anymore. So you're there with an enormously big stock, which in fashion is not worth anything anymore after 2 months. So
What do you
that's,
do with your stock then?
Yeah, you have to have stock shops and
You do like sample sales, or you give it to
outlet store.
yeah, outlets. We do outlets. I think outlets is a big business now.
Yeah.
In fact, we also produce for our outlets now. So it's
You produce
yeah.
extra for the outlet?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, because we need to
You need to have your humble, your
yeah.
stock.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you rent a store and then
Yeah.
you don't have goods to sell. So you
if
need
you-
to have enough stock.
Yeah.
And if
But
you
that's
had a good
weird. That's
season,
weird.
Yeah, that's a bit.
I
Yeah, I
know.
find it.
It is
even I
weird.
find it a bit weird.
No, if you had a good season and you don't have stock for your outlets, you need to produce.
Yeah, you
for
need
your
to
outlets.
produce
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Even I didn't know this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good to know. More questions from the.
What
You
is the
don't have
noise?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Does Ajax play? What's the noise?
Oh, really?
Oh, that's it. I thought, was it football maybe? Oh, okay, that's it. Well, that's good to know. That's so. If you're really into sustainability, you have to go and.
What are you doing here?
So, if you want to hear a bit more, then you have to stay here because then you're nice and warm. How are we on time, Kim? Because I can see you like. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's nice. Yeah.
I'm curious about how you interact with your customers.
Interact with your customers? You mean have the contact with your... well, we all have our own stores. So our retail is really the moment where we, be in contact with our customer, get to know our customer, learn from our customer. So I'm
Do
really...
you visit your own store still?
Yes,
And you too?
absolutely.
You too, yeah. And then why is that so important?
Oh,
You say
I love it's super. Actually, this weekend I put it in my agenda to go to all the stores like for half days or for full days, because if you're there and you're just in the store and listen to customers fitting on your clothing, talk about the brand. You learn so much. This is the one. These are the persons who will buy your clothing. So it's super leerzaam.
Yeah, you need to know what
learn.
they say,
Absolutely, very important.
And
for
how
me.
important is social media for a brand like yours and yours and yours? Like first you?
I think it's the most
Super
important publicity that exists for the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, is your Instagram account your most
I think
powerful?
Yes. Yeah, I think for the moment that's the most powerful publicity that exists. In fact.
Same for me. I think our business was built upon it. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And
for me
you?
as well.
Same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you would think the people here how many minutes, hours, I don't know, you spend on Instagram.
You can see it sometimes.
You can see it on
that's
your
like
phone.
Exactly.
horrible.
Now you have
There's
an
a new
app
function
that you,
on your
it's.
phone.
Oh,
Yeah, it tells
I
you
wouldn't
by
go
the
there, but
week.
no. But then if you just think that your customers are there more than they watch television or seeing commercials, so that's the new media of today.
And what is important then when you make the content for your social media? What do you keep in mind? Like how do you communicate with people?
Well, for me,
Yeah,
for us, I think the minute we were trying to imply a strategy on our social media, that didn't work. So the thing is to be authentic. It really is the best, because people will feel immediately when you're trying to sell things through Instagram, or when you're just showing a piece of your brand, of your work, of your life, of your opinion.
Yeah.
So I think just being authentic is very important. So how to be authentic, and but for us, I think it's just a window into who we are, and it has been very important to customers that buy directly, but also for the wholesale business, for shops abroad to find us. Instagram is now even more important than a fair.
For buyers as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I think Instagram is really important, but secondly, its own shops. I think own shops
Yeah.
are still very important because with your shop you can show the world off. And,
Your
and
brand, yeah.
I think those both factors are really important for your business, and the Instagram and the own shops, because that's how you can show who you
that's
are.
completely different than 20 years ago when you started. It would be other shops selling your product.
Yes, yes,
That would be your main channel, and then,
yeah.
well, not really Instagram, because I don't think
No,
it was a big thing back then.
And what we also see is that we have different shoots, and when we put a really nice picture of a campaign, and the campaign shoots are the biggest one and really thought about and very good photography and model, etc. But I think that people like on Instagram more accessible
Content, more accessible pictures.
So that's really what we see. So we think about that. How can we make a picture that is accessible? Like, oh, this is how I wear it. This is how,
Yeah, so
How
you
I can see
it's
myself.
not for the pictures that would usually be a campaign kind
exactly
of shoot.
that you use more on your homepage
Yeah.
on your web shop, and that's so that's a little bit different.
It feels more like a spontaneous picture,
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah, true.
But then there's
And,
still
and easy for them.
They're still
Thought about it,
not
yeah.
that spontaneous,
but also
really.
easy for them to copy. So if it would be a picture to say how to style these earrings or how to style this top, and it would be a more authentic picture.
Yeah, so it would be
then-
relatable. Like,
Exactly.
oh yeah, I can actually do this at home.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
not like that makes sense.
Yeah.
More questions? Then we go to the last questions. If anyone still has questions, yeah, you're the last question then.
If you look at your marketing budget, or how many you call that, how much percentage you would say would be for social influencer marketing? Would that be something?
It's about marketing, your thing.
We're talking about accessible social media, etc. So probably also work with influencers or something like that.
You mean how much from the budget goes to influencers? How many percent?
Would you give an indication of that?
Well, I mean, I'm going to answer on this one, but as I said, we actually don't pay influencers, and it's something that we've decided to do for a while. So we think we're a love brand, and if they love our brand and are willing to wear it with them, then it's good for us. And that's how we really find the people that we want to work with, basically. We never know. I mean, now it's evolving so much. Maybe in the future we can change the strategy, but so far it's been that way. It's been working really well. So there's no question.
Voila.
Yeah, voilà.
Just your people,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And for you?
We work with influencers for sure, but I don't know exactly
The
what the
number.
percentage is. But we have the same, of course. It has to be authentic cooperation, otherwise it doesn't work, and you don't like it, and the influencer doesn't like it. So
People will feel it, or like they will.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. It's important to have it within your marketing strategy, but it's not the only thing. There's a lot more. There's a lot more.
We have the same actually. We don't pay influencers. Has been a strategy from the beginning. We've done it once with a foreign influencer, and we didn't actually really like.
You didn't
the
like
way,
it.
the way that we didn't like the feeling of we thought if we're going to start doing this, then there's no end to it. So I think, but we do gift people. So we do gift people jewelry or home goods, or send it to them. And in a way, I guess that's payment too. But we don't pay an amount of money for them to
But
wear.
it's not like a percentage of your budget,
No.
of your allocated
No.
budget.
No.
Yeah. Okay, then, last, I want to thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening so closely. And then we have a break that you can stretch your legs quickly, or you can use the bathroom, or then you can get coffee. And then we sit down again with the new people talking about sustainability and innovation. It's like 10, 15 minutes, right? Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Enorm bedankt.
Superleuk.
En ook wel leuk leuk dat er vragen waren uit...
Ja.
Het ging helemaal zoeken naar
Ja.
Ja, maar ook leuk vragen uit de zaal en
heel
zo.
leuk.
Best wel goede vragen. Ik dacht,
Ja,
oh,
vind
jullie
ik
hebben
ook.
wel echt wel nagedacht
mensen
wie
die
er
hier
komen.
echt zitten met
Ja, met
interesse
hun-
en zo.
ja.
Ja.
Ik zag ze ook allemaal schrijven, vond ik ook heel leuk.
Ja,
Toch? Zag je
heel
allemaal
leuk.
mensen
Nou, er worden hier allemaal
aantekeningen
bedrijven opgericht.
Ja.
Nou,
maken. Ja, precies. Allemaal net.
ja, leuk.
Oh, ja hoor.
Oh ja.
Zo even de microfoon.